chosen one. Stop for a moment. This is not another video. This is not coincidence. Heaven has interrupted your scroll because God is speaking right now, and ignoring him would be a dangerous mistake. The world may be loud, but this message cuts through the noise. It is heaven's whisper saying, "Listen, I am talking to you." And you have felt the pull in your spirit lately, that quiet restlessness, that inner shaking. You can't explain. It's not anxiety, it's divine tension. Every time you almost gave up, something invisible pulled you back. That's because you were never meant to drift away. You carry an assignment that cannot be ignored. You've noticed that some things stopped working. Doors remained closed. Relationships faded without warning. Your peace has been disrupted, not as punishment, but as a wake-up call. God is saying, "I have been calling you softly, but now I must speak loudly." It was written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, as you did in the rebellion. Those words echo across centuries and now reach you. They are not ancient phrases, they are living fire. The same God who spoke to Moses is speaking to you through the stillness between your thoughts. The question is not whether he is speaking, but whether you are listening. You've been feeling drained because you've been running from alignment. The weight you carry is not just life's pressure, it's the cost of resisting destiny. God has tried to get your attention through dreams, silence, and people who spoke truth you didn't want to hear. Yet, his mercy continues. But mercy is not endless in opportunity. The voice that warns today can go silent tomorrow. You know what happens when conviction fades. The heart grows comfortable in compromise. You begin to mistake survival for peace. You start calling distance freedom, but heaven calls it rebellion. That's why God has stopped you now, not to condemn, but to call you back before it's too late. You didn't stumble upon this word. This word found you. Every detail, your timing, your state of mind was aligned, so heaven could intercept your routine. Because God has been speaking, but your distractions were louder. Now, heaven says, enough. End this. You can't silence a calling by drowning it in noise. The longer you ignore it, the heavier your life feels. The further you drift, the louder the storms get, not because God is punishing you, but because he refuses to let you perish in silence. This is his mercy dressed as interruption. You asked, "God, give me a sign if you still see me." This is your sign. He still sees you. He still waits for your yes. But this time, he demands response, not emotion. A response that looks like obedience. Ignoring his voice isn't delay, it's disobedience. And disobedience always carries a cost. You stand at a divine intersection. One path leads to the same old cycle. The other leads to clarity and power. Heaven is watching which direction you turn. You already feel it in your spirit, that trembling, that deep knowing this word is for you. Now, whisper, "I hear you, Lord." That simple confession shifts the atmosphere. The moment you respond, angels begin to move, chains begin to loosen, and heaven reorders your steps. You have no idea how close you are to the breakthrough you've been praying for. But the key is obedience. God's voice is not background noise, it's instruction for survival. If you obey, peace will return. If you delay, silence will grow heavier. So, listen carefully. Don't anger God by pretending you didn't hear. Don't numb yourself again. This is a summons. Heaven has called your name. Will you answer if this word pierces your heart? Act now. Like this message, share it so another soul may awaken. And subscribe to stay connected. In the comments, type the number 777, a prophetic mark of completion and covenant. Let it be your yes to God's voice. Right here, right now. Because today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your heart. You were never chosen to blend in with the noise. You were chosen to carry divine fire, a voice that awakens others when the world grows spiritually numb. The same Spirit that calls you now will guide your next step. Obedience today becomes breakthrough tomorrow. Heaven moves when you finally choose surrender. Lift your eyes. Breathe. And remember, this is your moment of realignment. Step into it with faith, not fear. God is waiting for your yes. You were marked before birth. Long before your name was spoken on earth, heaven had already whispered it in eternity. You were not an accident, not the outcome of human intention, but the manifestation of divine design. Even before the foundations of the world, a purpose was written beside your name. That purpose has been echoing through time, waiting for you to remember who you are. From the moment you took your first breath, the spiritual realm took notice. Heaven celebrated, and hell trembled. Angels were assigned to guard you, while the enemy began to plan distractions to divert you. The fight over your life began before you could even walk, because your destiny carries a sound that threatens darkness itself. That is why your life has never been ordinary. Every strange delay, every unexpected hardship, every early rejection, none of it was coincidence. Each moment was a thread in the tapestry of calling. Even the pain that confused you was divine preparation. The ones who abandoned you were necessary, because they could not walk in the direction God was taking you. The silence that hurt you was the training ground for your discernment. Heaven has been shaping you in hiddenness, teaching you to hear the voice of God without needing applause. Sometimes you wondered why your path seemed heavier than others. You saw people who didn't care about righteousness moving easily through life while you wrestled to stay afloat. But heaven had already determined that your training would be different. Others could take shortcuts because their assignments were temporary. Yours is eternal. You are not just called to live, you are called to carry light. And light requires depth. You've often felt misunderstood because people couldn't read the language of your soul. They called your conviction too intense, your silence strange, your vision impossible. But they were never meant to understand what they were not anointed to carry. There is a loneliness reserved for the chosen, not as punishment, but as separation, the kind of separation that forges strength, character, and unwavering faith. As revealed in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 4, "For he chose us in him before the creation of the world, to be holy and blameless in his sight." Those words pierce through time and find you again. You were chosen before the creation of the world, before sin, before sorrow, before confusion. You were chosen to walk in holiness. Not perfection, but alignment. To be blameless in his sight is not to live without fault, but to live without resistance to his will. Heaven knew you before earth, named you. That is why the world could never define you correctly. Every chosen one must walk through a season of divine obscurity, the silence between being called and being revealed. It feels like heaven is quiet. But in that silence, you are being built. Every unanswered prayer, every lonely night, every unseen act of obedience has been shaping your foundation. You are being made into someone who can stand in both glory and responsibility without crumbling. You may not realize it yet, but every wilderness moment has been strategic. The isolation protected you from premature exposure. If God had allowed you to be seen too soon, you would have been celebrated for your potential instead of your purpose. And applause without preparation destroys purity. So he hid you. He allowed people to overlook you, not to humiliate you, but to preserve what he placed inside you. Even now, heaven watches how you respond to the silence. Obedience in hidden seasons is proof of real trust. Faith that survives obscurity is the faith that qualifies you for authority. When the appointed hour comes, you won't need to fight for recognition. Heaven will reveal you when your heart is ready. And when that moment comes, every closed door will make sense. You'll see that rejection was redirection, delay was protection, and pain was purification. What you thought was abandonment was actually alignment. God never left you. He was guarding your destiny from contamination. You are not late. You are in process. The world measures time by calendars, but heaven measures it by readiness. God's clock doesn't tick like ours. His timing is not about minutes, it's about maturity. He will not place glory on an untested foundation, because his name rests on it too. So breathe. You have not missed your moment. The seal that was placed on you before your birth cannot be erased by circumstance. What was spoken over you still stands. You were chosen before creation. Set apart not to impress the world, but to represent heaven. Your life carries an eternal assignment. When the time of unveiling comes, you will not rise through effort, you will rise through obedience. Every hidden season will reveal its purpose. Every scar will shine with meaning. And all of heaven will declare that God's choice was never a mistake. You have been fighting battles no one sees. Quiet wars behind your smile. Unseen storms beneath your calm. The world looks at you and assumes strength. But heaven sees the bruises beneath the armor. You've been enduring a war that isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. These battles are not signs of failure. They are proof of calling. The enemy only fights what threatens him, and your very existence is a threat. The sleepless nights, the heaviness in your chest, the tears you hide in prayer, none of them are wasted. The darkness has been testing you, trying to make you quit before the promise unfolds. But what hell doesn't understand is that even when you feel weakest, God is still winning through you. The fight is not evidence that you're losing, it's evidence that you're still chosen. You've wondered, why me? Why does peace feel temporary? Why does warfare seem constant? Because the anointing you carry disrupts systems. The light within you exposes lies. And darkness cannot rest where you stand. You have carried more than most, because heaven trusts you with more than most. God has been proving your endurance for the next level of authority. There were moments you thought you were losing your mind. You prayed, yet the pressure increased. You worshipped, yet opposition multiplied. That's because each attack was tailored to your potential. The enemy targeted your peace because he couldn't touch your purpose. He tried to silence your prayer life, to isolate you, to make you believe God had forgotten you, but heaven never turned its face away. Every tear you cried became oil on your future. Every heartbreak turned into strength for the next assignment. The Spirit of God sees your exhaustion. He knows how many times you've whispered, "Lord, I can't do this anymore." But still, you rise, you show up, you love again, forgive again, and believe again. That's not weakness, that's divine resilience. The chosen don't collapse under pressure, they are refined by it. The fire that was meant to destroy you has only made your light more visible. According to the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 19, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. Now, you've been feeling like you're drowning, but deliverance is already on its way. Heaven has seen enough. The storms that once surrounded you are beginning to lose their power because your endurance has reached heaven's threshold. You've passed the test of persistence. You didn't give up when it was hardest, and that's why the shift begins now. This season has been about purification, not punishment. Every attack was allowed to train your discernment. God has been teaching you to recognize spiritual warfare, not to fear it. You're learning that peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of divine authority. You carry that authority now. That's why hell panics when you pray. You may still feel tired, but you're stronger than you realize. You've learned to worship while bleeding, to love while breaking, and to keep walking, even when visibility was gone. That's not ordinary faith. That's the mark of someone heaven has invested deeply in. Soon, you'll see the reason behind every delay. You'll realize that you were not abandoned in battle, you were being armed in it. The very warfare that tried to destroy you will become the stage for your testimony. You will speak peace into places that once caused you pain. You will lead others out of storms you barely survived. And they will know not by sermon, but by your scars that God delivers. So, if this message resonates in your spirit, don't scroll past it. Let heaven hear your agreement. In the comments, type still standing on, because those two words are your declaration to both heaven and hell that no matter how fierce the war, your faith outlasted the storm. It's not just a comment, it's a proclamation. When you type it, you're saying, I'm still here, I'm still chosen, and I will not be broken. The war has been long, but the victory is closer than you think. You are not fighting for survival anymore, you're fighting from survival. The worst is behind you. The proof that you're still breathing is the evidence that God isn't finished. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is still breathing through you. The same angels that surrounded Elijah now stand around your life. You are not forgotten, you are fortified. The storm did not break you, it revealed you. And soon, the world will see what heaven always knew. You were never ordinary. You were chosen to stand. Even when the world expected you to fall, there comes a moment in every chosen life when heaven goes quiet. A silence so heavy, it almost feels like absence. You pray, but no answer echoes back. You seek signs, but everything stays still. You try to feel His presence, yet all you sense is emptiness. This silence is not abandonment, it is transformation. It's the sacred pause between instruction and revelation, the divine stillness where faith is stripped of emotion and tested for endurance. When God stops speaking, He is not rejecting you, He is teaching you to rely on what He has already said. The last word you received from heaven still holds power, but when you chase constant confirmation, You begin to worship the feeling instead of the truth. Silence becomes the training ground for maturity, where your faith learns to breathe without reassurance. There was a time when every prayer brought an immediate sense of peace. Every worship song felt electric. You could sense heaven close. But now, even in obedience, you feel nothing. Don't be afraid of that numbness. It's proof that you're being elevated to a deeper dimension. God is weaning you off emotional dependency so that you can walk by conviction, not comfort. This season exposes what's real in your relationship with Him. It asks, will you still trust when there's no visible evidence? Will you still obey when you no longer feel the warmth of His presence? True faith doesn't need constant proof. It needs memory. You must remember the God who spoke before. The same voice that called you out of chaos has not gone silent out of cruelty. He is watching to see if you can remain still when heaven is quiet. It is written in the book of Job, chapter 23, verse 10, "But He knows the way that I take. When He has tested me, I shall come forth as gold." Those words are the anthem of every chosen soul who's walked through divine silence. When the voice of God pauses, your endurance speaks on your behalf. It's not about your perfection, but your persistence. The test is never about God finding out who you are. It's about you discovering who He's made you to be. In the quiet, He examines the foundation of your trust. He asks, will you still love me when the miracles slow down? Will you still follow when blessings are delayed? The true measure of faith is obedience without reward. You are not being ignored. You are being purified. Every unanswered prayer burns away dependency. Every quiet morning refines your motives. You are learning to follow His word, not His feelings. Sometimes the silence of God is louder than His speech. It speaks through closed doors, through unanswered questions, through the ache of waiting. You may think He's withholding answers, but He's actually protecting you from premature understanding. Revelation that arrives too early can crush you. That's why heaven waits for your heart to be ready before it reveals what comes next. You've been asking for clarity, but God is building capacity. You've been praying for direction, but He's forming discernment. He's not just preparing your path, He's preparing you. The silence that frustrates you now will become the soil where your wisdom grows. And when He speaks again, you will hear Him with new ears, perceive Him with new depth, and trust Him with new stability. This quiet season will end, but when it does, you will not be the same. The old version of you, the one that panicked at delay, that needed constant reassurance, will not survive the transformation. You are being trained to stand in authority, not anxiety. So, do not mistake stillness for separation. The God who seems silent is still moving. He is crafting, pruning, adjusting the unseen details of your story. You are not forgotten. Heaven is simply silent while miracles mature beneath the surface. One day, this silence will break, not with a whisper, but with thunder. And when it does, you will understand why you had to walk through this quiet fire. You'll realize that the silence wasn't empty after all. It was full of divine construction. You will emerge, as Job said, like gold refined, unshakable, and ready to carry revelation that silence alone could birth. The silence is not punishment, it is purification. You are being tuned to heaven's frequency, learning that His absence to your senses is never absence of His hand. When He speaks again, The same silence that once scared you will feel like home, the sacred space where glory was quietly being formed within you. Mercy does not chase forever. There is a sound that echoes in the spirit, the final knock before the door closes, the soft voice before silence. You may not realize it, but heaven has been calling your name gently for a long time. Conviction was the knock. Dreams were the whispers. Delays were the warnings. And now, that knock grows louder, not because God is angry, but because His patience is love stretched to its limit. Heaven is speaking again, not to frighten you, but to wake you. Grace is still open, but grace has seasons. When the window closes, what remains is memory. You do not want to stand in a world where conviction no longer moves you. The absence of correction is not freedom, it's abandonment. God warns before He withdraws. The prophet cried out in the scroll of Ezekiel, chapter 33, verse 11, "As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I take no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but rather that they turn from their ways and live." Turn from your evil ways. And those words are soaked in mercy. They carry the tone of a father pleading, not punishing. He is not waiting to condemn you, He is waiting to restore you. But mercy can only be mercy when it is received. You cannot keep walking away and expect the same open door forever. The time has come to stop running. Look at your life. The signs are there. The unease in your spirit, the tension in your plans, the moments when everything feels off, even when nothing seems wrong. Those are not coincidences. They are the gentle alarms of grace. God is shaking what can be shaken before the permanent settles in. He is saying, return while the door is still open. Sometimes mercy doesn't sound like kindness. It sounds like interruption. It stops you mid-step, forces you to question, and breaks your comfort. But that disruption is love wearing urgency. If God didn't love you, He'd let you keep walking in peace toward destruction. The fact that He keeps interrupting you means He still believes in your return. This moment, you hearing these words right now, is not random. It's an appointment with redemption. It's heaven's reminder that you still have time. Don't ignore it. Don't reason it away. The longer you wait, the harder your heart becomes. Mercy is gentle, but it will not beg forever. When you finally surrender, the atmosphere shifts. Mercy doesn't just forgive you, it rebuilds you. It cleanses the record, restores your dignity, and writes a new chapter over your past. The God you feared is not holding a hammer, He's holding out His hand. Take it before the silence returns. Now, if this message has stirred something deep inside you, let it move you to action, not out of pressure, but out of partnership. When you like and share, it's as if you pass the flame forward, letting another heart feel the same light that just touched yours. Every press of that button becomes a spark that keeps this message burning across the dark. When you subscribe, it's like keeping your lantern lit. It means you're choosing to walk with the flow of these words, to stay connected as heaven keeps speaking. You are not subscribing to a channel, you're saying, I want to keep hearing what heaven is saying. And if your heart feels led, consider giving, not as payment, but as planting. Think of it as watering a tree whose shade comforts souls you'll never meet, or as adding oil to the lamp so that the flame never dies out. Gift, no matter the size. becomes a quiet act of faith that carries light farther than you can imagine. No amount is too small. Some sow with prayer, some with kindness, some with provision. All are sacred when done from love, because generosity is not a transaction, it's transformation. It's the soul saying, "I have received light now, let it shine through me." And so, take a breath. You're not too far gone. Grace is still reaching, mercy is still knocking, and heaven is still calling your name. Open the door. Let him in, and let your light keep burning for others. Because one day, mercy's voice will key it. But today, it still calls softly, urgently, lovingly, waiting for your response. Mercy is not chasing you to condemn, but to crown you. Every heartbeat right now is proof that heaven still believes in your return, still writes hope in your name. When you answer, the noise stops. Peace becomes your language again, and grace becomes your home. The knock you once feared becomes the sound of love. Disobedience is heavy. It doesn't always come with thunder or punishment. Sometimes it comes as quiet exhaustion, a spiritual weight that lingers even when everything around you seems fine. It's that strange tiredness that sleep cannot fix. That dull ache inside, when you know you've been delaying what heaven asked of you. That is not random emotion, it's the consequence of resistance. When heaven calls and we keep postponing, the soul begins to sink under invisible weight. You have felt that weight before when you sense you should move. But fear keeps you still. When you feel conviction, yet you silence it with excuses. When the Holy Spirit nudges you, but comfort tells you to wait. Every act of delay adds a stone to your spirit until you can barely lift your own hope. That's why you feel drained, even after doing nothing wrong, because obedience delayed is still disobedience. Heaven speaks through the writings in Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 2. All these blessings will come upon you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. Arlo. That is the law of divine alignment. Blessings don't chase perfection, they follow obedience. When God speaks and you respond, heaven moves with you. But when you resist, you step outside the flow. It's like trying to sail against the wind. You still move, but with unnecessary struggle. Obedience is the wind in your spirit's sails. Disobedience is rowing alone through a storm you were never meant to enter. You've told yourself, "I'll obey later." But later rarely comes. The enemy doesn't need to make you rebel openly. He just needs to keep you waiting. Procrastination is the most elegant form of rebellion because it feels harmless while it steals destiny in silence. Every divine instruction carries a timestamp. When you miss the moment, you lose momentum. Think back on the times God asked for something small to forgive, to step out, to surrender a habit, to bless someone quietly. You reasoned with him, said, "I will, but not now." Yet, each "not now" builds a wall between you and clarity. The voice of God doesn't disappear. It just grows harder to discern through layers of resistance. That's why confusion often follows delayed obedience. The longer you wait, the more distant his direction feels. But here is mercy again. You are still reading this, still breathing, still feeling conviction. That means the door hasn't shut. The Spirit is whispering again. Not to shame you, but to free you. Heaven is not angry. Heaven is waiting. You are one yes away from restoration. There is beauty in surrender. The moment you say, Lord, I will do it. Peace returns instantly. It's like oxygen rushing back into a suffocating room. You realize that obedience doesn't take from you. It unlocks what's been waiting. Every act of submission rearranges the atmosphere around your life. What was stuck begins to move. What was hidden begins to bloom. You are not too late. You haven't ruined your story. The same God who called you yesterday still wants your yes today. He is not tallying your mistakes. He is measuring your willingness. The invitation stands. Heaven's alignment begins where your excuses end. You've been asking why doors feel closed, why plans keep failing, even though your heart is good. Maybe it's not punishment, maybe it's protection. God blocks certain paths not to punish you, but to keep you from walking out of season. You wanted progress, He wanted obedience. Progress without permission leads to collapse. If this word stirs your heart, don't just feel it, respond. This is the moment to realign, to say, Lord, I hear you again. You don't have to fix everything today, you just have to say yes. That single word moves heaven faster than 1,000 explanations. And as you respond, declare it below, a simple prophetic act to mark your obedience. In the comments, type 555. It's not superstition, it's symbolism, 3 5s. The number of grace multiplied. When you write it, you're saying, I receive grace to obey. Even when it's hard, it's your way of saying, I will not delay again. No, let that number be your declaration. Grace upon grace. Obedience over delay. Surrender instead of struggle. Heaven sees it. Angels record it. And your next chapter begins with that single act of faith. Because obedience is not loss, it's liberation. When you finally say yes, the burden lifts, the fear dissolves, and the light returns. The same wind that once felt against you begins to carry you forward. You will look back one day and realize that every act of surrender was heaven's invitation to freedom. So don't wait for another sign. This is it. The same voice that once whispered is speaking again softly, clearly, patiently. Respond now, because peace is waiting on the other side of your yes. Oh, there is a kind of grief that only heaven feels, a sorrow, not of wrath, but of wounded love. When the chosen turn away, heaven does not rage, it weeps. Divine anger is not blind fury. It is the heartbreak of a father who has given everything and still watches his children drift into danger. This is the story written in eternity, again and again, a creator offering love, humanity choosing distance, mercy chasing the runaway heart. You may think anger and love cannot exist together, but in the heart of God they do. His wrath is not cruelty, it is the heat of love refused. When He corrects you, it is because He still believes you can return. If He were indifferent, He would stay silent. Silence is what happens when heaven gives you over to your choices. But when conviction burns in your chest, when the Spirit will not let you rest in compromise, that is proof that God still wants you near. The pain you feel after disobedience is not punishment, it's evidence of belonging. The Holy Spirit grieves not because you are worthless, but because you are priceless. The enemy condemns to destroy, God convicts to restore. His anger is never detached from His compassion. It is like a storm that clears the air, fierce but necessary, washing away what poisons the heart. The Spirit once spoke through the prophet Nahum. Chapter 1. Verse 3, the Lord is slow to anger, but great in power. The Lord will not leave the guilty unpunished. And this verse carries both comfort and caution. Slow to anger, that is grace. Will not leave the guilty unpunished, that is justice. God's patience is fast, but not endless. His love endures. But his holiness does not compromise. When he allows discipline, it is not because he delights in your pain, but because he refuses to let sin become your comfort. You've felt that tension inside the pull between conviction and rebellion, mercy and pride. You sense God's call to come back. Yet a part of you resists, whispering, "I'll deal with it later." But that quiet resistance grieves the spirit deeply. Every time you postpone repentance, heaven's eyes. Every delay extends the distance. Still, the beauty of divine love is that it waits longer than reason says it should. Like a father standing at the edge of a road, watching for a returning child, God watches for your movement, even the smallest turn. The moment your heart softens, heaven runs to meet you. His anger turns to embrace. His judgment dissolves into mercy. Yet, that same mercy cannot be taken lightly. When grace becomes a habit instead of a gift, it loses its power to transform. The danger is not that God stops loving you, it's that you stop feeling the need to respond. Spiritual numbness is more deadly than open rebellion. At least, the rebel feels the fight. The numb no longer feels at all. There are moments when God allows consequences not to destroy, but to wake you. Sometimes he lets what you relied on crumble, so you remember that he alone sustains. He removes false comforts so your heart can feel again. His anger burns only long enough to consume what keeps you from his love. Afterward comes peace, not the fragile kind the world gives, but the deep, holy stillness that follows cleansing rain. You are not disqualified because you failed. You are not unloved because you strayed. You are simply being drawn back through fire, refined, not rejected. The difference between divine anger and human anger is purpose. Human anger seeks revenge. Divine anger seeks redemption. The truth is, the same fire that judges sin also purifies saints. The same God who shakes the heavens with thunder also whispers your name in mercy. Both belong to him, the roar and the tenderness. The day you understand that is the day fear turns into reverence. When the chosen forget their calling, heaven feels grief. But when they remember, heaven rejoices louder than the sorrow ever was. That is the cycle of divine love, always ready to rebuild what rebellion tried to ruin. So, if your heart feels heavy, if conviction stirs quietly while pride resists, do not harden your heart. That burning you feel inside is not condemnation, it's resurrection. God is reclaiming what is his. His anger is not the end of the story. It is the doorway to restoration. When the storm passes, you will see what it was really, for not destruction. But renewal. The ground will be clearer, the air purer, your heart softer, because in the heart of God, wrath always ends in mercy. The shaking before the shift, that's what this season feels like. Everything that once felt stable begins to tremble. People drift away. Plans fall apart. And familiar routines no longer fit. It feels as if life itself is breaking at the seams. But this isn't destruction, it's divine rearrangement. Heaven shakes what cannot last to prepare you for what cannot be lost. You have prayed for change. But few realize that change rarely arrives gently. It comes as disruption, a storm that clears the ground for new growth. The shaking you feel is not a curse, it is construction. When God is ready to build something lasting, He first tears down what was temporary. Every collapse is a clearing. Every loss makes room for what's meant to stay. It is recorded in the vision of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 6. This is what the Lord Almighty says, "In a little while I will once more shake the heavens and the earth, the sea and the dry land." That prophecy still echoes now. The shaking is not punishment, it's preparation. Heaven is rearranging your surroundings, removing what cannot carry the next season. Relationships that felt permanent are loosening because they were never meant to survive your growth. Opportunities that once defined you are closing because they were never meant to hold your anointing. At first, you resist. You try to fix what's falling apart, patch what's breaking, and hold on to what's slipping away. But divine shaking cannot be stopped. It must be trusted. God shakes foundations not to destroy your life, but to reveal which parts of it were never built on Him. When everything starts to move beneath your feet, remember this truth: only what's anchored in eternity will remain. The rest must go. You cannot carry old weights into new seasons. Heaven is separating you from what weakens you, even if it feels like loss. Sometimes, the shaking happens inside you. Your desires begin to change. What once excited you now feels empty. What once satisfied now feels shallow. That inner unease is not confusion, it's awakening. The Spirit is shifting your appetite from temporary pleasures to eternal purpose. God is changing your taste so you no longer crave what drains your destiny. The shaking also reveals where your trust truly lies. When everything familiar crumbles, the soul reaches for what's unshakable. That's when you discover if your faith was built on blessings or belief. When God removes your visible supports, He's inviting you to stand on His invisible strength. You learn to say, "Even if everything falls, I will still trust you." It's hard to watch things fall apart. You ask, "Why now? Why me?" But heaven's answer is quiet and steady. Because I am rebuilding. The old structure served its purpose, but it cannot contain what's coming next. You are being stretched, refined, and repositioned for something greater than you imagined. You see, the shaking always comes before elevation. Just as a tree must be pruned before it bears more fruit, your life must be trimmed before it multiplies. God is removing excess weight so that when He lifts you, nothing holds you down. Every loss you mourn is actually lightening your load. Every broken piece is making room for new construction. If you could see what heaven is arranging behind the shaking, you would not fear it. You would thank Him for it. But faith asks you to believe before you see. It asks you to trust that when everything seems unstable, the foundation underneath is being strengthened. You are not losing control. You are being repositioned. The tremors are not random. They are synchronized with heaven's timeline. This is not the end. It's the adjustment before the unveiling. The greater the calling, the deeper the shaking. So, when your world trembles, stand still. When people leave, bless them. When plans collapse, release them. What falls away now was never yours to keep. What remains after the shaking is pure, eternal, and unbreakable. Soon, The dust will settle, the noise will quiet, and you will see what God was doing all along, building something stable out of what once seemed shattered. When that day comes, you will understand. The shaking was never meant to scare you, but to strengthen you. Heaven was not destroying your foundation, it was exposing the rock beneath the sand. And once the shaking ends, you will stand taller, lighter, and unshakably anchored, not in what you built, but in who built you. When the trembling stops, gratitude will replace fear. You'll realize every collapse was choreography, heaven's hands clearing the stage for something eternal to stand. What remains after the shaking is holy. You will see that nothing was truly lost, only what was false fell away, leaving truth unshaken within you. There is always one command that stands between you and your next season. It may not be dramatic, it might seem small, almost too simple to matter. But it is that very act of obedience that unlocks everything you've been praying for. Heaven's next instruction rarely comes until the last one is fulfilled. You cannot move forward while holding on to almost obedience. The command you keep resisting has followed you quietly. You've heard it in prayer, felt it in conviction, seen it in patterns that repeat until you listen. It's that one thing you know you need to do. Forgive that name. Walk away from that habit. Release that relationship. Step into that calling. You tell yourself you're not ready, that you need more time. But deep down, you know heaven is waiting on your yes. The apostle testifies in his letter to James, chapter 1, verse 22. Do not merely listen to the word, and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. These are not just instructions, they are keys. The distance between hearing and doing is the space where destiny delays. Many hear God clearly, but move too slowly, convincing themselves that understanding is enough. But heaven doesn't reward understanding, it responds to obedience. You may wonder why clarity has faded, why peace feels distant, why doors seem locked. It's because obedience holds the key. God cannot bless what contradicts his command. When you resist, heaven invites, but when you move, the universe itself seems to align. The timing shifts. Favor follows. Things begin to make sense again. You have been praying for new direction, yet the previous instruction still sits undone. That's why everything feels suspended. God is not ignoring you. He's repeating himself. He's saying, do the last thing I asked, and then I'll show you the next. And sometimes the command is hard because it costs comfort. True obedience will always ask for something that touches your will. It may ask for a sacrifice, time, pride, or control. But what feels like loss is actually liberation. When you finally obey, you realize the burden wasn't the command itself, it was the delay. There is peace in completion. Once you do what God said, the atmosphere shifts, confusion lifts, strength returns. Heaven rewards action, not excuses. Think of Jonah. He didn't lose his calling when he ran. He delayed it through disobedience. God's plan didn't change, but the journey became harder than it needed to be. The storm wasn't punishment, it was redirection. Sometimes, what you call chaos is simply God turning you back toward obedience. If you've been wrestling with that one command, don't overcomplicate it. Heaven doesn't need perfection, it needs participation. You don't have to understand how everything will unfold. You just have to take the first step. Faith is movement. That quiet instruction you've been ignoring might be the missing piece to your answered prayer. Heaven is not waiting for another sermon, it's waiting for your surrender. One act of obedience can restore what years of striving could not. You already know what it is. The Spirit has been gentle but firm, patient but persistent. And now, this message comes as confirmation. It's time. Do the thing you've been avoiding. Say what needs to be said. End what's been draining your spirit. Begin what's been burning in your heart. When you move, peace will return like oxygen to your soul. The heaviness will lift. The confusion will fade. Because the weight was never life itself, it was resistance. So, right now, take a deep breath. Feel that conviction. Not as guilt, but as invitation. Heaven is near. God is not scolding you. He is guiding you back into rhythm. And if this word resonates in your spirit, let it be known. In the comments, type, "I will move." Oh, it's more than a sentence, it's a declaration. When you write it, you're agreeing with heaven's timing, saying, "I will no longer delay." You are aligning your voice with the very command that's been waiting to be fulfilled. This is your turning point. The moment you stop wrestling and start walking, because what stands on the other side of obedience is not loss, it's peace. Move now, not because you're pressured, but because you're ready. Heaven's next door will open the moment you reach for the handle. When you type those words, "I will move," you're not just commenting, you're confessing alignment. It's your spirit standing up again, telling heaven, "I choose obedience over hesitation." Now, and as you do, the unseen begins to shift. Angels record your surrender, and divine timing starts to turn. What was delayed will accelerate. Because your yes breaks spiritual resistance, there comes a time when heaven stops whispering and starts revealing. The season of hidden obedience gives way to the season of divine unveiling. What you carried in silence now begins to shine. You are stepping into the crowning season, the time when God's promises shift from unseen to undeniable. Everything you endured in the dark was preparation for this light. You've walked through silence, shaking, and surrender. You've obeyed when no one was watching, kept believing when nothing seemed to change. Now heaven moves to honor that endurance. The same places that once ignored you will soon witness the evidence of your obedience. This is not reward for performance, it's fruit from perseverance. The sacred words in Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, proclaim, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." That open door is more than opportunity. It's divine confirmation. Heaven is saying, "You waited well. You stayed faithful. Now step through." The crown that awaits you is not made of gold, but of grace, the favor that rests on those who didn't quit. This crowning doesn't always look like fame or riches. Sometimes it's peace after years of chaos, joy after a long drought, or purpose after confusion. Your crown is the visible evidence of invisible faith. Heaven rewards not the loudest, but the steadfast. When God crowns you, He doesn't just elevate your life, He redeems your story. Every tear, every setback, every lonely night becomes a jewel in that crown. Nothing was wasted, not even the moments you thought broke you. The cracks only made room for light to shine through. Now that the shift has begun, you carry responsibility with blessing. The crown isn't given for decoration, It's for representation. You are a reflection of heaven on earth, called to walk in humility and gratitude. God isn't crowning you to make you superior, but to make you visible, so others can find hope through your story. Take a moment and breathe. Let gratitude rise. You didn't arrive here by accident. Every battle prepared you for visibility without pride, for favor without forgetting. You are being trusted with influence, not to boast, but to bless. As this message reaches your spirit, pause to honor the journey that brought you here. And if it has touched you deeply, allow that gratitude to overflow in action. When you like and share, it's as if you lift your crown for others to see, not to show off, but to show them hope is real. You are not just interacting with a message, you are extending an invitation for others to rise too. When you subscribe, it's like returning to the well that quenched your soul. It means you're saying, I want to stay near the sound of heaven. Subscribing isn't about algorithms. It's about staying connected to the river that refreshes you. And if your heart feels stirred, consider giving, not because you must, but because you want to plant what you've received. Think of it as placing another gem on the crown of someone else's redemption. Each gift, each act of kindness becomes a spark that carries these words farther, reaching hearts still in the shadows. Your support isn't a transaction, it's transformation. It's like adding oil to the lamp that keeps this light burning for others who are still searching through the night. You don't give to complete the message, you give to continue it. You're helping build bridges of hope across unseen distances. And remember, generosity is never measured by amount, but by intent. A whisper of kindness given with sincerity is greater than a shout of wealth. What matters is the heart behind it. Giving is not obligation, it's worship, a quiet hallelujah in motion. If this message has found you in a place of reflection, let peace settle in. You have come through storms and silence, and now the crown of clarity rests gently on you. Wear it with humility. Use it to lift others. Share it as freely as it was given. And as you move forward, keep your spirit open. More doors are coming. More lives will be touched. More miracles will unfold, not because you strive, but because you finally stand where grace wanted you all along. So yes, share this message. Let your light ripple outward. Subscribe if your heart says stay, and give only if gratitude moves your hands. Do it not as duty, but as delight, the way a crowned soul gives thanks for mercy that never ran out. Because this is your crowning season, not just to wear the crown, but to shine with the grace that gave it to you. When obedience turns into movement, the enemy takes notice. The moment you begin to walk in the fullness of what God has called you to do, resistance rises. It is not coincidence, it is confirmation. Hell does not fight what it does not fear. Every spiritual attack that emerges after your breakthrough is proof that your light is spreading and darkness is reacting. You have to understand this. Opposition is not always punishment. Sometimes it is promotion wearing disguise. The enemy's panic is the clearest sign that you are moving in divine alignment. When he cannot stop your calling, he tries to distract your confidence. He cannot remove the anointing, so he attacks the atmosphere around it. The war intensifies not because you are weak, but because you are winning. The warrior psalmist once declared in the book of Psalms, chapter 27, verse 3, "Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war arise against me, Yet I will be confident. Confidence, not arrogance. But assurance is what terrifies darkness. When you stop flinching at every storm, the enemy loses his leverage. Fear was the only weapon he had left. Once you refuse to be shaken, his tactics collapse. You've noticed how things suddenly seem to stir around you, conflict without cause, misunderstanding from people you love, unexpected discouragement after moments of peace. Those are not coincidences, they are reactions. Light disturbs what's been hiding in shadows. The closer you walk with God, the more your presence exposes what cannot remain hidden. There will be moments when you'll feel like retreating, wondering if the warfare means you made a wrong turn. But remember this truth: peace isn't always the absence of conflict. Sometimes it's the presence of clarity in the middle of chaos. God doesn't remove every storm. He teaches you how to walk on the water. The enemy will whisper that you are alone, that no one understands the weight of what you're carrying. He will make you question whether your obedience was worth it. But you must see through the illusion. The very isolation he uses to scare you is where heaven sends reinforcement. When you feel most surrounded, you are actually most covered. You might not see it, but angels move quietly around you. Heaven's army doesn't need to make noise to be effective. God's protection is often invisible but never absent. The same power that parted seas and silenced lions is the same power defending your life right now. This battle is not designed to destroy you. It's designed to reveal your authority. Each time you stand firm, you're learning spiritual endurance. You're realizing that victory doesn't mean the absence of attacks. It means the inability of those attacks to define you. Remember, the enemy cannot steal what you willingly surrender to God. Your peace, your purpose, your identity, all are safest when anchored in obedience. The devil can roar, but he cannot rewrite your destiny. You carry the mark of divine ownership, and that's what infuriates him. Sometimes warfare feels personal, but it's not about you, it's about what you represent. You carry light, and light always attracts resistance. The darkness doesn't hate you for who you are, it fears you for what you reveal. Every chosen one becomes a mirror of heaven's authority, and every mirror exposes lies. So, when the storm rages, do not curse the wind. The wind reveals that you are sailing in the right direction. When pressure rises, do not despair. Diamonds form under weight, and your character is being refined into unbreakable brilliance. There will be nights when you cry out for God to make the attacks stop, but He will whisper, "I am still here. I am teaching your hands to war and your heart to trust." His silence does not mean absence, it means confidence in your strength. He knows what He placed inside you. When the dust settles, you'll see that every battle was building something sacred. The fear that once paralyzed you will turn into fuel. The attacks that once broke you will become testimonies that strengthen others. You will walk into rooms carrying the peace of someone who has already survived the storm. The enemy's greatest loss will be realizing that what was meant to crush you became the very thing that crowned you with wisdom. You will not only come out of this stronger, you will come out of it certain of who you are, certain of who God is, and certain that no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. Because when the enemy panics, heaven prepares. What the devil calls warfare, God calls training. And what feels like chaos now will soon reveal itself as strategy. You carry something that was never meant for just you. The weight you feel, the dreams that won't fade, the The words that rise inside you, even when you stay silent, they all point to one truth. You carry a prophetic mantle. Your calling stretches beyond the borders of your life. It touches generations. There are people whose deliverance is tied to your obedience. You may think you are ordinary, but heaven sees inheritance written all over you. The struggles you've endured were never random. They were spiritual training. Every wound became a well. Every scar became a signal. You are not just surviving, you are being forged into a vessel strong enough to carry revelation, as recorded in the prophecy of Joel, chapter 2, verse 28. And afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. And this promise was never limited to ancient days. It flows through time and touches every chosen soul who dares to believe. The Spirit of God has marked you for impact. Your life is a continuation of that outpouring, an open vessel through which heaven still speaks. You have likely wondered why your sensitivity is different. You feel storms before they form. You sense heaviness in rooms where others only see routine. That is not weakness, it is discernment. God has tuned your spirit to pick up frequencies that others ignore. You were never meant to blend in, you were designed to hear ahead. The prophetic mantle you carry is not about predicting the future, it's about preparing the present. It's the ability to feel what heaven feels and act accordingly. When others panic, you perceive purpose. When others see obstacles, you sense opportunity. That gift is costly. It often isolates you, but it also positions you as a bridge between the unseen and the seen. Generational callings are never light. They come wrapped in warfare and sealed with loneliness, but they also carry glory. What God placed inside you will outlive you. Your obedience today becomes the foundation of freedom for those who come after you. Every prayer you pray becomes a stone in the path your descendants will walk on. You are part of a divine relay. The baton was handed to you through generations of intercession, grandmothers who prayed, ancestors who hoped, souls who never saw the promise but kept believing it would come. You are the fulfillment of their prayers, and the weight you carry now will one day become the blessing of those yet unborn. Do not despise the burden. Prophetic people often carry tension because they are standing between what is and what will be. You feel heaven's urgency and earth's hesitation all at once. That's why your heart breaks for things others overlook. It's not sentimentality, it's spiritual empathy. You are feeling what God feels, so you can act as His voice in motion. When you speak life, atmospheres shift. When you pray, strongholds tremble. When you intercede, timelines realign. Never underestimate the impact of your quiet obedience. Heaven measures power not by volume, but by surrender. And this is why the enemy has fought you so fiercely. He tried to convince you that your gift was too strange, your heart too soft, your life too inconsistent. But the truth is, softness is strength in the spirit. Sensitivity is strategy. You were wired this way, so heaven could move through you, unhindered. This mantle is not a reward, it is a responsibility. You carry messages wrapped in mercy, assignments clothed in compassion. Your voice is meant to awaken what has fallen asleep in others. You are a trumpet of light in an age of noise. And as long as you keep your heart pure, that sound will only grow stronger. So if this word resonates within you, acknowledge it not to boast, but to affirm what heaven has placed in you. In the comments, type 2 122. This number speaks of divine agreement, of heaven and earth working together. When you write it, you're saying, I align with my calling. I agree with heaven's purpose for my life. It's a prophetic act of surrender, your yes made visible. Because the world doesn't just need more voices, it needs consecrated ones. You are one of them. You are called to speak when others remain silent, to stand when others shrink back, to carry truth even when it costs comfort. Don't hide your light anymore. Don't bury your words in fear. The Spirit that anointed prophets of old now breathes through you. The same wind that filled the upper room still moves, still speaks, still chooses. And today, it chooses you again. You are a carrier of divine messages, a living echo of heaven's heartbeat. Walk with reverence. Speak with love. And remember, what you carry is not just for you. It is for nations. There is a season. Every chosen one must walk through the season of betrayal and isolation. It comes quietly, without warning. One day, you wake up and realize the people who once stood beside you have drifted away. Not always out of malice, but because your path no longer fits their comfort. The higher the calling, the narrower the road. And on narrow roads, not everyone can walk with you. You have felt it, the sting of misunderstanding, the ache of being misjudged for motives only heaven knows. There were times you tried to explain yourself, to fix what went wrong. But the more you spoke, the more distant they became. That's when you learned that isolation is not always punishment. Sometimes it's protection. We are reminded in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 14, verse 50. Then everyone deserted him and fled. Those words describe the loneliest moment of Jesus' earthly life, the Garden of Gethsemane, where even his closest friends could not stay awake to pray. The Son of God, who healed crowds and raised the dead, stood alone in his greatest hour of obedience. That loneliness wasn't failure, it was fulfillment. His separation was sacred because it proved his surrender was genuine. You are walking through your own Gethsemane right now. The people you thought would stay have vanished. The ones you believed in could not carry the weight of your journey. And though your heart aches, heaven smiles not in cruelty, but in confidence. God knows you will rise from this with strength that solitude alone can teach. Betrayal reveals what comfort hides. When everything feels familiar, loyalty is easy. But when obedience costs comfort, motives are exposed. The pain you feel is real, but it is also refining. God uses disappointment as a scalpel, not a sword cutting away dependency so that your devotion stands pure. Sometimes isolation comes not because others betrayed you, but because God separated you. You prayed for clarity. And this is the answer: silence from people, stillness from heaven, and a wide space where only His voice remains. It feels like loss, but it's the beginning of revelation. God cannot show you certain things while the noise of companionship surrounds you. It speaks deepest in solitude. The absence of others makes room for the presence of God. That's why the wilderness feels both painful and holy. Every chosen vessel must learn how to be sustained by divine presence rather than public affirmation. You are learning to eat manna nourishment that falls from heaven alone. The betrayal you experienced didn't break you. It broke your dependence on approval. What left you lonely has also left you lighter. You no longer need validation to move forward. You've discovered that God's silence is safer than people's noise. That realization is the true beginning of spiritual maturity. Forgive those who left. Their departure was necessary for your direction. If they had stayed, they would have slowed your transformation. Some relationships end not because of hatred, but because heaven closed their season. The same hand that once joined paths can also divide them when purpose demands it. In time, you'll see that isolation was never emptiness, it was incubation. The silence that felt like abandonment was actually the soil of new strength. God hid you not to punish you, but to prepare you. Like a seed in darkness, you were buried only so you could bloom later in brilliance. You are being refined in private so that when the moment of revealing comes, you carry humility with your glory. Solitude is shaping your spirit, softening your heart, and anchoring your faith. The loneliness that felt like a wound is becoming wisdom. When you rise from this season, your empathy will deepen. You will recognize the pain of others and know exactly how to comfort them. Because you once wept in that same valley, the betrayal that once cut you will become the compassion that heals others. And when restoration comes, you will not resent those who left you, will bless them. You'll understand that their absence was part of your anointing, because sometimes to be chosen by God means being misunderstood by men. So don't fight the silence. Don't curse the solitude. What feels like emptiness is actually transformation. Heaven hasn't abandoned you, it has drawn you closer. When you emerge, you will not just be restored, you will be redefined. Every lonely night will have written something unshakable in your spirit, and you'll know with quiet certainty, isolation was not your ending. It was the holy space where you became who you were always meant to be. There is a sacred fire that burns in every life marked by heaven not to destroy, but to refine. It does not announce its arrival with thunder, it comes quietly, through trials that test your patience, losses that purify your motives, and seasons that strip away the unnecessary. This is the refining fire, the holy furnace where God removes what you no longer need so that only truth remains. At first, it feels cruel. The things you once leaned on begin to dissolve. The plans that made sense suddenly collapse. You pray, but heaven seems slow to answer. You wonder what you've done wrong. Yet, this fire is not judgment, it is love in its most transformative form. The Father refines what He intends to reveal. The ancient scroll of Malachi reveals in chapter 3, verse 3, He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the Levites and refine them like gold and silver. And notice that the verse says, He will sit. The refiner does not walk away from the fire, he stays beside it. Watching closely, he adjusts the flame, ensuring it is never too hot to destroy, but strong enough to cleanse. God's refining fire is never reckless, it is deliberate, precise, and personal. He knows exactly how much heat your spirit can bear. Refinement is not about punishment, it's about preparation. The dross, the impurities that cling to your heart, can only be removed under pressure. Pain reveals what comfort conceals. The things you used to depend on are burning away, not because they were evil, but because they cannot sustain the next version of you. You have prayed, God, use me. What you did not know is that before God can use you, He must purify you. He cannot pour new oil into vessels still coated with yesterday's residue. The refining fire scrapes off pride disguised as confidence, fear disguised as wisdom, and doubt, disguised as caution. It burns until your yes to God is pure again. There is beauty in surrendering to this process. When you stop resisting the fire, it stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like purification. Every tear becomes water for new growth. Every test becomes a tool. You begin to see that the fire is not your enemy, it's your sculptor. Think of gold. It begins as a raw, unshapely stone. Only under intense heat does its true beauty emerge. The impurities rise to the surface, and the metal becomes something of worth. That is what God is doing with you. The heat you feel is not rejection, it is revelation. You are being shaped into a vessel that can carry glory without cracking. Refinement requiert patience. The process cannot be rushed. You may look around and see others rising faster, shining sooner, and wonder why your journey seems slower. But premature gold still carries impurities. God loves you too much to reveal you before you are ready. In this season, He is teaching you the art of stillness in the fire, to trust that He is watching, to believe that the same flame that hurts is also healing. There is a time for running, but there is also a time for resting in His refining hands. Every great purpose comes through fire. Abraham faced the fire of faith. Joseph endured the fire of betrayal. David walked through the fire of waiting. And Jesus Himself passed through the fire of suffering before resurrection. You are in good company. The flame that surrounds you is the same flame that purified them. When this refining ends, and it will, you will shine differently. People will sense peace where there used to be panic, wisdom where there used to be worry. The same trials that tried to break you will become the testimony that builds others. The refiner's goal is not to change your identity, but to reveal it. The flame does not create gold, it exposes it. What is being removed was never truly part of you. It was only covering what was divine beneath. So, don't fear the heat. Don't run from the fire. Stay in it, knowing that the hands that lit it are the same hands holding you through it. And when you emerge, you will carry a glow that no storm can dim, not because you escaped the fire, but because you were transformed by it. When the fire finishes its work, you will not smell like smoke, only like surrender. The fragrance of endurance will rest gently upon your spirit, and as you walk forward, others will see the shine of resilience on you, proof that divine fire never destroys, it only defines what is truly gold. There comes a moment when what was hidden in the fire begins to shine in public light. This is the season of revelation when God begins to display what He has refined within you. It is not about fame, but about fulfillment, not about spotlight, but stewardship. Heaven never reveals what it hasn't first purified. You may feel the shift already, a quiet sense that the waiting is ending, that something inside you has completed its preparation. The pressure you endured was not in vain. You were being forged into someone trustworthy enough to carry visibility without vanity. The unveiling you're entering is not simply promotion, it's purpose, finally finding its platform. Scripture declares, through the words of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 3, "Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness, like the stars, forever and ever." That is heaven's promise, to make those who endure radiant with influence that never fades. You are that light, a reflection of wisdom formed through pain, patience, and perseverance. The trials you thought were isolating you were actually polishing you. Every wound became a window. Every scar became a source of light. Public revelation always comes with responsibility. You are being positioned not for applause, but for assignment. People will be drawn to your glow, but your glow must lead them back to the one who lit it. The true measure of elevation is not how high you rise, but how many others rise with you. This moment marks the transition from hidden obedience to visible testimony. Heaven is releasing you into spaces that need what you carry: clarity, compassion, courage. You are being placed like a torch in a dark hall, not to impress, but to illuminate. Let this reminder settle in your spirit. The world does not need another echo. It needs an original flame. You are that flame, unique, intentional, chosen. Don't shrink from your shine out of fear of pride. Humility is not dimming yourself. It's acknowledging the source of your light. And as your light reaches others, allow gratitude to move through you. Gratitude is the sound that keeps glory pure. When you remember who carried you through obscurity, your shine stays steady, not self-centered. If this message resonates with your spirit, let your response be natural. When you like and share, imagine it as passing the candle's flame from your hand to another, a simple act that turns one light into many. Somewhere, someone's darkness will soften because you chose to extend the glow. When you subscribe, picture it as standing beside a fire that never goes out. It's your quiet way of saying, I want to stay near the warmth that reminds me who I am. Subscribing isn't about following a page. It's about staying close to a rhythm that keeps your spirit awake. And if your heart feels stirred, consider giving, not out of duty, but as rainfall over the soil that nourished you. Every seed you sow keeps the message alive, allowing it to reach another heart still waiting for hope. Giving is not payment, it's poetry, the kind that says, I was lit, and I want the fire to spread. And if this message has touched something deep inside you, leave a trace of your light below. Write, I shine, in the comments. It's not an instruction, it's an expression. When you write it, imagine setting a small lantern on the river of faith, letting it float towards someone still waiting for dawn. There's beauty in partnership. It transforms gratitude into movement and makes your heart part of heaven's mission. These words are more than sound, they are seed. And your willingness to share, to stay, to give, it's what helps the garden grow. So, let your heart lead. Share only if it moves you. Give only if it brings peace. Stay connected only if the flame inside says, this is home. The truest offerings are never forced. They flow from love. Now lift your head. You are walking into rooms prepared long before you arrived. You are about to stand where purpose and timing finally meet. The light around you isn't new, it's simply visible now. And as you shine, let your reflection point upward. Because the goal was never to be seen, it was to make God visible through you. So yes, pass the flame if you feel led. Pour water where you've been refreshed, and stay near the fire that formed you, not as obligation, but as offering the kind heaven calls beautiful. This is your season of revelation. You are not just seen, you are sent. Shine gently, give freely, and let every light that touches yours know where it came from. There was a time when reverence was natural, when the name of God made people tremble in awe rather than shrug in routine. But the world has grown numb. Sacred things have been reduced to symbols, and holiness has become a word spoken more than it is lived. Yet, In every generation, God raises voices to restore what has been forgotten, the return of holy fear. This is not the fear that torments, it is the fear that transforms. It is the kind that steadies the heart and brings tears to the eyes when the presence of God draws near. It is awareness, the realization that the same power holding galaxies together is now looking into your soul, not to destroy, but to dwell. The fear of the Lord resounds in Proverbs, chapter 9, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Wisdom begins where reverence returns. The more you recognize who He truly is, the more clarity invades your confusion. You stop trying to control outcomes, because you realize you are held by something infinitely larger. The fear of the Lord doesn't cage you, it frees you from the illusion that you were ever in charge. This kind of fear makes you careful, not anxious, but intentional. It shapes how you speak, how you treat people, how you guard your heart. It reminds you that every choice echoes beyond the moment. When holy fear returns, compromise becomes uncomfortable. The things that used to entertain you start to grieve you, not because you're becoming self-righteous, but because your spirit is aligning with His. There is a sacred stillness that comes with reverence. When you stop rushing through prayer and start realizing who you're talking to, everything slows down. You no longer pray to be impressive, you pray to be in awe. Every word becomes weighty. Every silence becomes sacred. Holy fear is not about being afraid of punishment, it's about being overwhelmed by love. When you grasp how immense His mercy is, how patient His heart has been toward you, reverence rises. Naturally, gratitude deepens. You begin to understand why angels never grow tired of saying, "Holy, holy, holy." They've seen more of God than you have, and still, the sight leaves them breathless. This is the generation that must rediscover awe. We've learned how to be expressive, but not how to be reverent. We talk about God often, but wait for Him rarely. The Holy Spirit is calling His chosen ones to step back into wonder, to feel again what it means to stand before the Creator. Not as an equal, but as a beloved creation. Reverence changes everything. It teaches you to value what you once ignored. You stop treating your body as ordinary because you realize it's a temple. You stop treating time carelessly because you sense eternity brushing against it. You start walking slower, speaking softer, and listening deeper. The return of holy fear brings back order where chaos reigned. It restores purity to worship, honesty to hearts, and humility to leadership. It dismantles pride, disguised as confidence. It silences arrogance, dressed as authority. It turns applause into adoration. You may have noticed how easy it is to feel spiritually busy, but emotionally distant. Reverence ends that distance. It brings you close, not through noise, but through nearness. You start to feel His weight again. That sweet heaviness that reminds you, heaven is real. There is peace in this kind of trembling. It's not panics, it's presence. When holy fear rests on you, it doesn't make you run, it makes you kneel. You begin to see that fear and love are not opposites, they are partners. One keeps you humble, the other keeps you whole. And this world, loud, hurried, distracted, needs that kind of holiness again. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that shines. Not the kind that condemns, but the kind that convicts with gentleness and truth. If you have felt God calling you back to deeper reverence, know that it's not because He wants distance, it's because He wants depth. He's reminding you that His presence isn't casual. It's costly, sacred, and worth everything. When holy fear returns, worship feels different. Prayer feels alive again. Life regains its meaning. You stop performing for God and start walking with Him. And that's when wisdom truly begins, not in knowing more, but in honoring more. The return of holy fear is the revival of awe, the quiet fire that burns pride, heals perspective, and reminds creation who the Creator truly is. And once that fear takes root, your life itself becomes worship steady, reverent, unshakably anchored in wonder. There comes a moment when heaven stops persuading and starts proclaiming a line drawn not in anger, but in finality. This is the divine ultimatum. The voice that once whispered now thunders with clarity. Choose whom you will serve. It is not a threat. It is an invitation to make your allegiance known before the window of grace closes. For too long, the world has lived in grey spaces, halfway surrendered, halfway self-led. But God is calling His chosen ones into absolutes again. The middle ground is disappearing, not because heaven is cruel, but because eternity is near. Mercy still stands, but it will not stand forever. The trembling you feel in your spirit is not fear, it is awakening. Heaven is saying, decide now. Heaven's final warning echoes from the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 16. So then, because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. Those are not words of rage, they are words of heartbreak. God does not despise the lost, He despises indifference. The lukewarm heart says, I believe, but not enough to change. It hears conviction, but never responds. That is the danger of delay, not sudden rebellion, but slow erosion. A heart once tender can grow calloused if conviction is ignored long enough. This is the line where mercy and truth meet. God's love is unchanging, but His patience has purpose. He waits, not because He is weak, but because He is just. There comes a time when silence becomes His answer, when absence becomes His verdict. That moment is not decided by His mood, but by our response. Every divine warning carries two paths, restoration or ruin. You are standing before both. The choice is not complicated, it is costly. Choosing God means releasing control, surrendering comfort, and walking where faith leads instead of where logic points. But refusing Him costs far more. You lose not only His voice but also your sense of direction. The divine ultimatum is never shouted, it is whispered inside the soul. It sounds like unease when you're drifting, like a heaviness that doesn't lift until obedience returns. The Holy Spirit doesn't accuse, He alerts. He pleads before He punishes. His conviction is the last knock before the door closes. The tragedy of many is that they confuse delay for denial. They assume grace will always wait. But even grace has seasons. The door of Noah's Ark was open for a time, then it shut. Not because God stopped loving, but because time fulfilled its mercy. That pattern still stands. Every generation receives a call to return. Only some respond. If you feel this message stirring something inside you, that's the Spirit's voice reminding you, you still have time. The fire you once carried can burn again. The tenderness you once knew can return. You are not disqualified yet, but the moment demands decision. God is asking not for perfection, but for possession. Will you be fully mine? You don't have to clean yourself before coming back. You just have to come back. Heaven specializes in restoration, not rejection. But it cannot heal what refuses to return. Look around the signs of shaking. The wars, the unrest, all echo one truth. Eternity is pressing closer. What's happening globally mirrors what's happening spiritually. Heaven is dividing light from darkness, purpose from distraction, obedience from convenience. And in that division, you must decide where you stand. God's mercy is still available, but His urgency is increasing. The Spirit is hovering over hearts right now, separating conviction from confusion. The divine ultimatum isn't about fear, it's about alignment. Heaven is asking you to remember who you are, to return to the path before it fades. This is not the ending, it's the choosing before the new beginning. When you decide, heaven records it. When you turn back, all of heaven celebrates. But if you stay undecided, time will decide for you. There is still hope. But hope demands response. Grace is not a cushion, it is a call. The same hand that holds creation open is offering you restoration, but not forever. One day, that same hand will close the chapter. So, while breath remains, choose. Not later, not when it's easy. Now, because once the door shuts, the echo of delay will sound louder than any excuse. You are being called, not coerced. God's ultimatum is an act of mercy, a final plea wrapped in love. Choose life, while life still offers the choice. Choose the fire of devotion over the frost of indifference. Choose presence over distance, because soon, time will bow to eternity. And when that moment comes, may heaven look upon you and find not hesitation, but yes, steady, surrendered, and unshakably His. You've walked through the journey from the whisper to the warning, from the shaping to the shining. If these words have found you, it's because heaven intended them to. This wasn't coincidence, it was connection. Every sentence was written to remind you that you are not forgotten, not ordinary, not replaceable. If something within you stirred peace, conviction, or tears that finally made sense, let that be your sign to keep walking in light. When you like and share, imagine it as planting a seed in someone else's desert, a seed that may bloom where you'll never walk. You're not promoting a message, you're spreading mercy disguised as words. When you subscribe, picture it as staying near a fire that keeps your soul warm. It's your quiet yes to keep growing, to stay close to the sound of grace that refuses to let you fade back into silence. And if this space has poured into you, consider giving, not because it's asked, but because generosity is what keeps love alive. Think of it as adding one more drop of oil to a lantern that lights thousands of unseen roads. Every seed sown helps this light reach another weary heart, still waiting for dawn. And if this message became your mirror, leave a sign below. Write, "I hear you." Those 3 words aren't for applause, they're for alignment. They're your way of saying, I understand now, and I'm listening. Lam, the flame that touched you today was never meant to end here. Let it travel, let it heal, let it multiply. So, carry this light. Share it if your spirit says yes. Stay if it gives you peace. Give if your heart feels full, because what begins as one spark can become a sunrise for someone still standing in the night.